There's not a lot you could say about Far Cry 4 that you couldn't say about Far Cry 3. Where the previous two sequels signaled significant changes in approach, Far Cry 4 takes its predecessor and cranks everything up by several orders of magnitude. The make-your-own-fun sandbox is even more outrageous. The amount of pure stuff to do is endless, and the off-putting story and dialogue are even greater blights. Big turnoffs in a game that doesn't know when enough is enough. In other words, Far Cry 4 takes every element of every major Ubisoft series and shoves them into one game. And as you can imagine, it's big and crazy and entertaining and problematic all at once. One Ubisoft big-budget calling card is blatant faux edginess, of which Far Cry 4 has plenty. The over-the-top tension actually starts off in a promising manner, introducing you right away to Pagan Min, the dictator of the Himalayan nation of Kyrat. You're there to scatter your mother's ashes. He's there to make your life a living hell. The brutal scenes that introduce Min are horrifying. He's vain, vindictive, and wholly lacking in empathy. He then disappears for most of the game, leaving you instead with a series of stereotypes, each one more embarrassing than the last. Every so often, the game seems to be poised to make a point about you being a gun-toting American shooting up soldiers in the name of peace and freedom. But when you spend so much time instead listening to a radio personality that fantasizes about becoming a serial killer that smears feces on his victims, it's difficult not to cringe. There's not much treasure to be found in this trash. It's when Far Cry 4 lets you off the leash that you find the thrills you seek. You grab a few guns, maybe a bow and arrow, maybe some Molotovs, and rush into the wilds, seeking to disrupt the land in the name of the Golden Path freedom fighters. Infiltrating outposts remains a highlight, and while the stealthy method of doing so is still available to you, Far Cry 4's newest tools emphasize chaos and destruction. You can throw a bit of meat and a bear or a tiger will roar into the fray, lunging into your victims so you don't have to get your shoes bloody. You can mount an elephant and charge forward, launching soldiers into the air with a swipe of its trunk. You can summon a friendly to your side and set the place ablaze with flamethrowers, or assassinate an artillery gunner and take over for him, dropping ordnance on the most heavily armored baddies. Or instead of summoning an AI comrade, you can invite a friend and get cooperatively rambunctious. If a helicopter is proving pesky, try getting in one of the new gyrocopters and having your buddy hang from beneath. You maneuver into a place and he shotguns the pilot in the face. Why use a simple rocket launcher when you can find more dramatic ways to create explosions? Venture beyond outposts and you find even more ways to express your violent tendencies. The new auto-driving feature, which allows you to automate your trip towards your waypoint, isn't very reliable, but it does make it easy to lob grenades on pursuing enemies when you're behind the wheel. You liberate entire forts, grapple the ledges and climb upwards, coast quickly from cliffs to valleys by activating your wingsuit, and unlock new areas by climbing radio towers and hacking them. The map is dotted with boundless activities to pursue in that Ubisoft way, and if those possibilities aren't appealing enough, you can always check out the competitive multiplayer, which pits two asymmetrical teams against each other. One team can go invisible, call in attack bears, and ride elephants. The other accesses a full arsenal of weapons and vehicles, attempting to dominate by pure show of force. Competitive play is one more entertaining way of spending your time in Far Cry 4, a game already full of opportunities to make your own fun. One of Far Cry 4's biggest problems, however, is that it doesn't trust you to find that fun. The game's constant reminders to go do something other than the thing you're doing right now are beyond irritating. You liberate an outpost, drive away, and in 10 seconds you're alerted that the outpost is under attack again. And so you drive back and fend off attackers, leave, and get the same message again and again. The game will even move your waypoint on your behalf, and thus change your auto-drive destination when it decides what it wants is more important than what you want. Far Cry 4 is needy. It constantly hounds you, not just via interface, but through entire gameplay systems. The gameplay suffers from other problems too. Show up at a story mission and discover you don't have the best weapons for the job? Well, going back to re-equip yourself will force you to talk to the mission giver again, watch the same cutscenes again, and start everything from scratch. And there's no escaping Far Cry 3, when Far Cry 4's missions are sometimes so blatantly similar.
Windows don't do drugs, really? Is that it?
But when the game is brilliant, it's noticeably brilliant. The way its economy encourages you to go hunt the wildlife and craft new wallets and loot bags for carrying more money and items. The way it dangles even more weapons in front of you, making you wonder how you might get even more naughty. The way it tempts you into every nook and cranny. Far Cry 4, like the terrain it depicts, goes very high and very low. The lows are downright scornful, yet the highs are sometimes breathtaking. It's awesome and messy and dumb and fun and problematic and gross and beautiful. Take any given adjective in your vocabulary and chances are something in Far Cry 4 can be described that way.